You don't need more motivation. You need discipline. How much do you trust yourself to do the things you say you're gonna do? Let's talk about it. We're talking about self-discipline today. And as you guys have known, I have been doing a discipline series for the month of December. And this is now the third video. The first one was the foundation of building your self-discipline. We talked about the 4 main reasons of why you have no discipline. Lack of clarity, that was no belief, no plan, and the expectations you've set. And so we talked about spiritual discipline in our second video and the importance of spiritual discipline as you build your discipline. And so today we are talking about self-discipline. Now you guys may notice a little amp in my in my delivery today because this is actually one of my favorite topics. It was through self-discipline that I discovered what I was truly capable of. And so I love talking about this topic because I truly believe there is a change and transformation in your mind and how you perform your everyday tasks when you get self-discipline. I can speak about it all day, but today I am going to just give you guys a brief background and understanding of what's preventing you from developing your self-discipline and also the tips on how to move forward. So let's get into it. Webster defines self-discipline as correction or regulation of oneself for the sake of improvement. Now, to correct something means to change, to alter, to adjust, and to regulate something means to bring order or take control. And so how I've put this for our discussion today is self-discipline is taking action to change, improve, or take order or bring order to an area of your life. So it's about to be a new year. And I know everyone wants to improve themselves for the New Year's resolutions. You got your vision board, you got your goal. But we all know how this routine goes. And I ain't gonna sugarcoat it today. We all know how the routine goes. We set our goals. And the first 3 months, we go hard. And by April, we fall off. And we don't even pay any attention to those goals at all. We literally forget all about it. I'm not judging. I used to do this. And this year was different because of the implementation or the change that I brought about in my life to help adjust that. I'm here to tell you, you do not need more motivation. You need some self-discipline. In order to accomplish those goals, you need some self-discipline. So you need clarity. What is your why? Why do you want to build your self-discipline? Going back to that foundation video, if you haven't watched that video, please watch that one. But you need clarity. Why do you want to improve your self-discipline? Then you need belief. How much do you trust yourself to do it? And if not much, how can you improve that belief? What are some things or steps you can start doing to improve your self-belief about building your self-discipline? You need a plan. How clear is your plan to execute to build your self-discipline? What are some things you're going to do? When are you going to do it? And then you need expectations. Do you have some realistic expectations set? And the key things to remember for this one is to pace yourself. When we make all these goals and we go into 2024, the first 3 months you expect to do like 6 goals in like a month. And it's like, hold on. Let's be a little realistic here about what you can do. I do believe in always trying to, be an overachiever or set more than what you think you'll do. But we have to also be realistic at the same time so that we're not putting more pressure on ourselves. The more disciplined you are, the more you can trust yourself. The more you trust yourself, the better you are executing your goals. I'm going to talk about 5 reasons why you have no self-discipline. It's going to get a little spicy in here. I'm not going to lie. These 5 reasons is spicy. They're a little hot, but we're going to dive deep into each one of them. And then I'm going to share the 4 tips of what you do need to do to become more self-disciplined. Lacking self-awareness. You are unable to determine what's holding you back from becoming self-disciplined because you lack self-awareness. Now, what is self-awareness? Self-awareness is the ability to recognize and understand one's feelings, thoughts, and actions. Why do you do the things that you do? Why do you say the things that you say? We are taught today in our society to suppress our emotions, to suppress our thoughts, and to pass over some of the actions that we do. And this leads to, in my opinion, minimizing our ability to become self-aware. Because when you react a certain way, or you tend to emotionally respond to certain things in a specific kind of way, we are not taught to question or go deeper. I think now therapy has normalized some of that, but it's still out there where people just ignore their feelings or ignore their thought. And I think this plays a very important role in identifying areas that we're weaker in, or even that we're stronger in. And so I think this is a very key part to developing yourself, is being self-aware. Why do you do the things that you do? Why do you say the things that you say? Why do you think the way that you think? Why do you feel the way that you do? It all helps you to learn more about yourself, to know what to work on. If you're not aware about an area that you're weaker in, it's very difficult for you to improve that area. So I think one of my tips for this one would be to journal more. Of course, I'm gonna hit you out with the journal. I love journaling, and there's studies that has shown the importance of journaling on your mental health, but I also think it's a great tool for self-awareness in itself, because I think you have to allow yourself to feel the feelings that you do feel and the emotions that you do feel without any sort of judgment. You have to know how to communicate that eventually as you get older, as you get married, etc. But for yourself, it's important to identify, why do you feel the way that you feel? And this is important as you're building your discipline, because not everything is going to be comfortable, and you're going to think, this is a sign I'm not supposed to do this because I feel a certain way. No, you're uncomfortable because this is new to you. This is actually normal. It's important to have a level of awareness, self-awareness, to help you on that journey. And you have to be honest about that. Number 2, lacking the right mindset. I could focus on 2 different parts on this one, but I'm gonna focus on one. When you are building your discipline, you're gonna have to make sacrifices. And a big issue that I notice in this area is this YOLO mindset that we have in our generation. YOLO gonna keep y'all broke and undisciplined. I'm just being honest. It's gonna keep y'all broke and undisciplined. I feel like this concept is saying that you don't trust God and you don't trust his plans for your life. So you're gonna rush and do all the things that you want to do because you think God's plan is inferior to how you should live your life. And that's not true. For me, one of the best decisions I've ever made was to submit my plans to God, but also having the mindset that 9.9999 times out of 10 is not going to happen how I expect it to. So I mentally prepare that I'm gonna submit my plans to God, and they're not gonna happen how I expect it to. You know why? Because I might need more preparation to get to that goal that I have in mind. And so it might take longer. It might have more obstacles for me to navigate through to learn certain characteristics, traits that I need for that goal. And so when you submit to God, you're telling God, I trust you, help me get ready if this is your will for my life, if this is a part of one of the goals that you've set on my heart to accomplish. And so I think this is really important, to let go of this mindset that you do control everything. No, you don't. And if you do, you're probably struggling, because God ultimately makes that larger goal. When you submit your plans to him, I'm not telling you it's going to be easier. It is going to be harder when you submit those plans, but you are going to get so much more fulfillment at the end. I've never looked back and said, I regretted submitting my plans to God. Like, it literally, they did take longer. They did have more obstacles, but They have made me more confident, more prepared, build different characteristics that helps me to be better in the area or that goal that I was trying to accomplish. Never regretted it. I think it's really important to shut out the noise from the people around you, social media. And I took a 2-year social media detox, and I literally just got back on social media this year. It really helped me a lot to focus in on what the plans God has for my life and the goals that I have that I want to accomplish, compared to the goals that social media tries to push on us every day that we should accomplish, that we should do. You need to be separated and isolated. Some people need that. Like, God can't talk to you unless you're separated and isolated. And that's not a bad thing, because it was in that time for me that I was able to pull closer to God, because I was listening to everybody else but him and his plan for my life. So my tips here is going to be, you're going to have to unlearn some of what you've learned. You're going to have to relearn some new things, and you're going to be separated. And separation does not mean you are alone. God is always with you. You might feel lonely, but you're not alone. And there's a purpose in everything that he does. Number 3 is indecisiveness. You're unable to make decisions because you don't trust yourself enough. Now, I might hit a spot with this one. You reach out to all your friends to help you make decisions, and then you take their advice and end up being not even what you want to do, but you didn't trust yourself in the first place to just make the decision on your own. We waste so much time trying to decide on things that are not important. And it's those little decisions, how confident you are in them, that helps you when it's time to make the larger decisions. It's a muscle that you build. Every single decision that you make is not going to be correct or perfect. You have to be willing to know that it will not go how I expect it, but if it doesn't, I will pivot and I'll make the change. And a lot of us are scared of that. We have this one straight line path, and that if it doesn't go that way, everything's just like crashing down and burning. Your whole world is ruined. And that's not an accurate picture of life. That's not the mindset that you want to go into building your discipline with at all. It comes with a level of open-mindedness and the expectation that things will not go the way how you expect it to. One of the things my spiritual mentor told me was, when you're in a state of indecisiveness, use wisdom. If you have all the answers to the pieces and you still can't make a decision, use wisdom. Of course, pray, seek God. If he doesn't answer you, use wisdom. And that has helped me tremendously going forward with some of the decisions that I've made. And so time is one of your most valuable currency. Do not waste your time being indecisive about things. And how I do it is I think about all the aspects of whatever problem I'm trying to figure out or whatever decision I'm trying to make. I think about it and I make a decision. If it's a yes, I go with yes. If it's a no, I go with no. If it doesn't work out, I pivot. But I don't sit and just soak in this sorrow that I don't know what to do. I don't know what decision to make. Help me. Help. All right. So for this one, it's important to determine your priorities. So for example, my priorities are my relationship with God, my emotional mental health at this time, and then spending time with family. So when certain things come up that is really not in alignment with those 3 things based on the season I'm in, it's easier for me to say no than to sit in a state of indecisiveness where I'm like, I'm gonna think about it. And I'm gonna get into that one on the last point, but you just have a level of decisiveness. There's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people see that as being mean, but there's nothing wrong with that, to know what you want to do. My tip to you is to pray to God about that, and don't waste time on things that are not important or not as important. Determining what your top 3 priorities are. for this season that you're in, what are your top 3 priorities? And if things don't align with that, it's easier to make a decision. And you build this level of trust. As you say yes, as you say no, as you say yes and you say no, you build this level of trust with yourself, because you trust that you're making the right decisions with your life. Sometimes the decision is, should I go to the gym? If you're building your self-discipline, we already know what the answer is there. You know, sometimes it might be with your own actions, not having to do it with anything with people. So the indecisiveness has to be, it starts with you. Are you doing what you say you're gonna do? And once you start building that muscle with yourself, then it gets easier for you to do the same with others. Number 4, caring about the opinions of others. Many people never achieve what they're capable of because they care too much about what other people think about them. Y'all, let me get vulnerable in this space. I used to say I would never be on YouTube. Like, I used to be like, oh my God, like people would, my friends and my family, like they would just like attack me and say all these mean stuff. They do not care. They do not care. And once I found my true identity and my calling, it's made it so much easier for me to do things and not care about the opinion of others. Because the only thing that matters is this in alignment with my purpose? Am I serving or helping others? Is this what God called me to do? Do I know why I'm doing this? Once you know your why, that in itself will take you farther than you can ever imagine. And so people are gonna talk anyway, if you do it or you don't do it. You're gonna be either ahead a year from today and they're still gonna be talking, or you're gonna be still worried about what they're saying and they're still gonna be talking. My tip for this one is to find your true identity. And that's why I'm a self-discovery coach, because I think knowing who you are, who God says you are, is very important. And it plays such an important impact in how you navigate making decisions as you go about achieving your purpose and doing the things that you're called to do here on earth. Be intentional about discovering who you are, and literally God will help you with the rest. That's literally how I started. I was just intentional, like, God, I want to know my purpose. I want to know what it is that you've placed me on this earth for. And it took some time, but he literally revealed it to me as I sought him, as I was intentional every single time. You have to do the work. You have to start and then pray, read the word, gain knowledge, and God will help you along that journey. Number 5. Whew. Y'all ready for number 5? You don't know how to say no to people. This one is a big one. Many people don't get to build their self-discipline, or don't build their self-discipline and be consistent with it because they don't know how to say no to people. You not knowing how to say no to people prevents you from living a life of doing what you want to do to living a life of doing what you have to do. We all have obligations and responsibilities, whether that's in our families or personally at work. And how I look at it is, you don't ever want to show up doing things out of resentment or because you feel like you have to. For me personally, it's always like I want to show up my best self. I want to show up happy. I want to show up with a smile. Like, even if I'm tired, I want to be smiling and knowing that I get to do this. And so a while back when I was struggling with this, and I talked to my therapist about this, and she said, I'm gonna share this with y'all. She said, if something happened to you today, what would they do? And I was like, they would figure it out. Like, yeah, they'll mourn and move on and figure it out. And so she's like, so why can't you say no today if you don't have the emotional or mental capacity to do something? Because in my mind, if I don't help, they're not going to figure it out. So she's saying, if something does happen to you, what would they do? They would figure it out. And so it comes to that point of knowing when to say no. If you aren't good, how can you expect yourself to help others? How can you be filling up the cups of other people when you're drained, when you have nothing in your cup? And so I always lead with, if I'm not good, I can't help you. If I genuinely need a day, I cannot say yes to you. Saying no does not mean you're mean. It does not mean you're selfish. It does not mean you don't care. Prioritizing yourself so that you can show up better for others is very important. Going into your moment of solitude or silence to be by yourself, to pray, to read, to rest, that's important. You don't want to waste both their time and yours. Sometimes you say yes to some things and you end up leaving early. You end up wasting your time. Stop telling people you're going to think about it. If you one of the people that tell everybody you're going to think about it, this needs to be on your New Year's resolution. Stop telling people you're going to think about it. Some things, yes, you will need to take a moment, think about. But if it's not an automatic yes, sometimes 99% of the time, you don't want to do it. So be honest with your feelings. Like, be honest. You don't want to do something, don't waste your time and theirs. And so for this one, I'm going to give you a little homework. Write down 3 ways in your notes on your phone to say no. 3 nice ways to say no. And the key here is to have empathy, to communicate effectively, not breaking those relationships, and to be honest. So 3 ways to say no in a very nice and empathetic way that addresses their feelings and yours. And sometimes, I hear this very often, no is a complete answer. Some people might just get no, and that's it. But the relationships that you genuinely care about, make sure that you're communicating that effectively. And so those were the 5 things of why you have no self-discipline. And that's lack self-awareness, lacking the right mindset, you're indecisive, you care too much about the opinions of others, and you don't know how to say no. To be self-disciplined, we're going to move over to the positive now, because that's what really matters. You have to be the person that has self-discipline. Oh, Nico, what do you mean by that? Be the person that is disciplined. If your goal is to be the person that prioritizes physical fitness, be the person that has the characteristic, the traits, the mindset to do the things that they need to do to be self-disciplined. You have to start thinking about yourself differently. The person who's prioritizing physical fitness, they're not eating out every night. They're not spending money on takeout. They don't go to every event. They're making sure they're getting at least 7 hours of sleep. So they're going to bed earlier. Remember, we talked about sacrifices earlier. You have to make sacrifices in an area. And I think the key thing to remind you here is it's temporary. It's not permanent. Because eventually, your discipline will just be automatic. And number 2 is you have to do the work. If you're a person who prioritizes physical fitness, you have to do the work. You have to go to the gym. You have to cook your meals. You have to get 8 hours of sleep a night. You have to actually do it. Key thing is here, the destination is the work. It's not when you get to losing 5 pounds. The destination is you showing up every day. Number 3 is to have the results. The results are temporary unless you dominate in this area. Unless you take control. Remember, self-discipline is having order or taking control in an area of your life. And so you get the results. Okay, now what do you need to do? Take control of your life. You bring value to people's life. Everybody's fighting for your time. Social media wants your time. YouTube wants your time. TikTok wants your time. Your friends need your time. Everybody's fighting for your time. But you need to take control of your life. And it does take more work, or the results will be temporary. And number 4, you have to maintain the mindset, maintain the environment, maintain the decisions that's needed to be disciplined. I'm going to read this scripture. All athletes are disciplined in their training. They do it to win a prize that will fade away, but we do it for an eternal prize. So I run with purpose in every step. I am not shadowboxing. I discipline my body like an athlete, training it to do what it should. Otherwise, I fear that after preaching to others, I myself might be disqualified. And that's 1 Corinthians 9, verse 24 to 27. When you connect what you're being disciplined for with your purpose and how it helps you accomplish your purpose, it allows you to see your life and the decisions you make in a different way. Connect your purpose to the discipline that's needed to accomplish your purpose. Because the goal is eternal satisfaction. Anything else is temporary. Anything else that you're seeking the discipline for that is not in alignment with who God has called you to be is temporary. And so Paul here is talking about the importance of disciplining yourself in your area of purpose. That is all I have for today. I know that was a lot, but I also want to let you guys know I'm hosting a 3-day challenge in January 10th to the 12th, called Commitment Issues, where I'll talk about how to accomplish your goals in 2024 using a method that I've used this year that has helped me tremendously. The link to sign up will be below in the comments. Thank you guys for watching. I'm your coach, Onika. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.